You know what's worse than not wanting to do something? Wanting to and feeling like you can't. I hear from all kinds of clients who want to do more with their life, but feel like they're stuck, feel like they're stuck in their racing thoughts, feel like they're stuck in their anxious mind and procrastinating their life away. And if that's you, then you're in the right place. What if I told you that procrastination was actually a myth? Here's the truth. You don't procrastinate. You just freeze. And today I want to show you a really simple way that you can unstick yourself, get out of that frozen state and back into living the life that you really want to by taking the actions that you know deep down inside you really should be taking. But before we get into that, let me explain a little bit more about how your brain works and why you get stuck in this freeze response. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that you're going to do a task. I want you to think about a task in the past that you've procrastinated on. And I want you to see yourself going through it. I want you to imagine what happens right before you start feeling that sense of procrastination. And I'm going to bet that there's some fear there. To illustrate this better, let's use the example that you are going to order a pizza and you need to call the actual restaurant. Now, when you think about the idea of calling the restaurant, that may bring up a lot of anxiety for you. And the reason why is not the call. It's how the call could possibly go. It's all the things that could go wrong on the call. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I order the wrong thing? What if they're not available? What if someone gets mad at me? And what this does is it starts to trigger our fear response and puts us into a freeze state. So you have to realize that way back long ago when we were in a tribal society, let's pretend that we were walking around and we were going to the nearest watering hole. And what happened was right before we got to the watering hole, we saw this saber-toothed tiger. And we immediately froze because we needed to assess the situation. Should I run? Should I try to fight? Do we have enough people to fight? Maybe we don't. Maybe we should run. I don't have to be the only person who runs. The other people around me could run too, and I just have to outrun them to live. All of these questions start racing through our mind, not that dissimilar from how anxious thoughts race through our mind. And so eventually, the saber-toothed tiger goes out of sight. And immediately our brain says, I'm safe. Threat's gone. Now I can start moving again. But what happens when the saber-toothed tiger, what happens when that threat actually lives in your mind like it does with anxiety? Well, then how do you know when it's over? Over time, you've trained your brain to cross your fear and your focus, causing you to become paralyzed and not able to move forward. Much like the idea that you're pressing on the gas and the brake at the same time, you're putting in all of this effort, but you're getting nowhere. And if that's you, then I want you to listen really closely. It doesn't have to be that way. You just have to learn how to uncross your wires. And so today, I want to take you through a guided meditation that'll help you to learn how to uncross your wires so that you can uncross your fear from your focus and learn how to breathe easy and flow into every task that you have to do for the day. And I want you to just think about for a moment how different if you could actually uncross these wires, if you could uncross your fear from your focus, and in any given moment you could take the action that you really want to and you didn't get stuck, how different would your life be tomorrow? Because you have to realize that your response to taking action, that your procrastination is just something that you learned. And you can unlearn it just as easy. And today I want to teach you how to unlearn it. So if you're ready, let's go into this meditation. I want you to make sure that you're in a place where you are comfortable and safe enough to be able to close your eyes for the next 10 to 15 minutes. If you're driving, just pause the video and come back to it when you're in a place where you can be fully absorbed in what we're about to do. So go ahead and pause this video, find a nice comfortable place to sit down for the next 10 to 15 minutes. And then when you're ready, you can hit play on this video again, and it'll take you through a nice guided audio meditation so that you can learn how to uncross those wires and reprogram your mind to take the actions that you know are going to be best for you. So go ahead and find your spot, and then let's get into the meditation. All right. So now that you have found a place just to settle yourself down for a little while, to let go of all of the distractions that come and go throughout the day, I want you to just give yourself a little bit of appreciation. Thank yourself for taking the time today to really take care of yourself, and to start to shift these habits of yours, to start to change your perception of what procrastination is. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you on a little guided meditation journey to be able to help better understand what's going on when you procrastinate. Because the procrastination isn't the problem. It's your response to the procrastination. And today we're going to start to fix that by learning how to uncross these wires. So what I want you to do, for starters, is I want you to just tune in to your breath. Just allow your breath to breathe through you. Tuning into the inflowings and outgoings of that breath as it moves through your body. Feeling that sense of breathing deep in the abdomen. That's it. And now in a moment, I want you to slowly but surely find a spot just a little bit above eye level on a wall in front of you, almost as though your eyes are looking up a little bit. And I want you to find that spot. Yep, that's the one. And I want you to focus on that spot. And as you continue to focus more and more intensely just on that single spot, bringing all of your attention to that single spot, I want you to notice as you stare at it longer and longer, you may start to notice that your eyes begin to fatigue a little bit, and this is totally normal. Your vision might become a little bit hazy, or it might even sharpen just a little bit more. Both are very natural and normal, but in both of those instances, one thing will become clear to you. As you stare at that spot longer and longer, you'll start to notice that your eyelids might have a tendency to become heavy, almost as though there's weights being placed on them. And I want you to feel those weights being placed on your eyelids as they slowly get heavier and heavier and heavier still. And when you're ready, you can close down those eyes all the way. That's it, closing down those eyes all the way. And I want you to just notice that feeling. Yeah, that's the one. That feeling of calm and relaxation that starts moving through your body. Feeling it spread from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. And I want you to just test how much you can relax. I want you to see how much you can let go. Make it a game and see if you can win it. Can you? Can you let go completely? Can you relax through each and every part of your body, letting go more and more into this state of calm relaxation? That's it. Continuing to move down, feeling that sense of that calmness washing over you like warm water, moving from your head all the way down, down into the hips, down into the knees, down into the feet. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 5 all the way down to 0. And when I reach 0, you're going to drop 10 times deeper into this state of relaxation. And at 5, letting go, letting that feeling wash over you. At 4, letting go of all of your thoughts, all of your worries, all of your concerns. 3, letting go of that feeling in the physical body. 2, letting go even more now. 1 is a very, very relaxed number. And at 0, going 10 times deeper. Deeper and deeper and deeper still. That's it. Now in a moment, I want you to just notice how it feels to be this deep into this state of relaxation. Notice what it feels like in your body. And just tune in. And I wonder, you might even be able to feel your heartbeat. I wonder if you could. What it might feel like to tune in so much that you start feeling your heartbeat, listening to that thud, thud, thud. And as you bring your awareness to that heart more and more, focusing deeper and deeper on that point, I want you to see if you can feel that heartbeat. That's it. That's the one. And imagining that you could bring your awareness so intensely into your heart that it was almost as if you could dwell there. I wonder what being inside of your heart might be like. Could you imagine what it would be like to be inside of your heart? And as you imagine, you may start to notice that a room could form. And I wonder what that room would be like. It might be warm, cozy. It might feel very, very natural. Or it might be a bit foreign to you. But either way, as you find yourself in this room of the heart, there's something that you notice. As you look around the room, you may start to notice somewhere in that room there's an elevator. Now, why would there be an elevator in the room of your heart? It has to go somewhere, but where does it go? And this is where our journey begins. Stepping into this elevator and taking it all the way up to the brain. Because the truth is, procrastination is not an issue of the heart. It's an issue of the mind. And if we are going to get to the bottom of it, we first have to go to the top floor. And as you step into that elevator and press that top button, you start to notice it riding up and up and up in a very safe, secure, and steady manner, all the way up to the brain. And when you arrive at the top, there's this sound of ding, alerting you, allowing you to realize that this is where your journey begins. That as you step through that door of that elevator, you find yourself in a very peculiar place. It may not be exactly how you imagined your brain being, but there's a command center of sorts there. And there's one thing that sticks out to you in specific. There's a giant, giant computer right in the center. It's a big old screen, a bunch of buttons, and there's something on the screen. And the screen reads, error. And as you step through into that command center, you start looking around. You may notice, sooner or later, that there's no one there. And it looks as though there hasn't been someone there for quite some time. It looks as though the place has been a little unkept. There might be some cobwebs around, and that's okay. Because much like a broken computer, all things can be cleaned, all things can be fixed, and all things can be put into working order again. And as you slowly find yourself moving towards this computer, you see that error code on the screen. It seems as though it's been there for quite some time. And you start searching around, looking around, pressing some of the buttons, but nothing seems to work. And isn't that familiar? When we get stuck in this procrastination, when we get frozen in error, we try pushing all of these buttons, but nothing seems to work. All of these thoughts that spiral, and yet none of them allow us to take action. So I wonder if maybe it's not an issue with the computer. Maybe it's not an issue with the command center, with the screen. Maybe it's not an issue with the buttons. Maybe it's an issue with the wiring. And so I want you to notice down below those buttons, there's a door. I want you to open that door. And inside of that door, you start seeing this massive array of different colored cables going all different directions. This is the hard wiring of this computer. But what's interesting about this is that something's not right. As you start looking closer and closer, you realize that some of these wires are not connected properly. It looks as though, in a state of panic, someone ended up trying to hotwire the command center. And I wonder what happened. I wonder why someone tried to hotwire this command center. You see, you have to realize that as you look further and further into these wires, you start remembering. You start remembering that you know these wires, and you know these colors, and you know what they mean, don't you? I bet you do. And as you start looking, there's two colors in particular that might pique your interest more than others: red and green. Why? Because red means danger, and green means all good to go. And you start noticing that there are certain red wires that are connected to green, and there are certain green wires that are connected to red. And that's when it hits you. Oh my gosh. Someone hot-wired green to red and red to green. Someone hot-wired fear to focus and focus to fear. Well, that's all. You just got your wires crossed. And so now, if you're ready, it's time to uncross your wires so that we can reprogram that command center together. And I want you to imagine yourself reaching in there and starting to unwind, starting to rewire all of those different connections, uncrossing the red wires from the green, putting red to red and green to green until the screen error goes away. Because when our wires are right, we can breathe easy. So I want you to take some time and uncross each and every one of those wires, shifting away that connection of fear to focus, rewiring so that fear can be with fear and focus can be with focus, and we can breathe easy, knowing that our computer is working right. And when you get to the end, you may start to notice up upon the screen that there's no error code anymore. And it's because as you've uncrossed all of these wires, you've taken that computer out of that freeze mode. You see, when the wires become crossed, we tend to get frozen, stuck, not able to move forward, not able to move backwards. But the moment that we uncross our wires, everything becomes clear. We shift from fear into focus, and we're ready to create a new program. And so as you close those doors, you start noticing, sooner or later, that there's a loading screen. And I wonder what that loading screen might mean. Perhaps it means that the computer's clean and it's ready for new programming. And so as you start looking on that screen, I want you to imagine what you could program that computer to do. I wonder if you could program your brain however you wanted it to be. What would you want? How would you want your life to look? And in specific, when you have things that you need to get done to move you forward in life, what would you want that program to do? Would you want it to get frozen? Would you want it to get its wires crossed? Or would you want it to move easily and effortlessly through the task, completing it in record time? I bet you would. And now you can. So when you're ready, I want you to just imagine a scene in the future and what it might look like now that you've uncrossed these wires. What is it that you've been putting off for quite some time doing in your life? What's a task? What's something that you need to get done this week? That before this exercise, maybe there's been some fear around. Maybe you felt frozen, maybe you felt stuck, but no more. How are you going to move forward now, knowing what you know? And I want you to see that scene on that screen in front of you. And I want you to watch it play out from beginning to middle to end as the new you, the one that is totally capable, the one that is self-motivated and self-determined and reaches their goals. And I want you to step into that scene as if you were wearing a VR headset. Become fully immersed in all of the feelings and watch yourself go through each and every step of this task that you need to do from beginning to middle to end. And when you arrive at the end, when you've completed that task, notice how good it feels. Notice how good it feels to be successful, because you can be successful now. Because all you needed was new programming. All you needed was to set the intention of what you wanted that outcome to be, and now it's real for you. And as you continue in this scene, I want you to notice that other scenes start popping in to that screen of who you're going to become with what you know now, of how much more confident, how much more sure, how much more clear you can be in life as you easily and effortlessly move from task to task, completing them in record time. And I want you to find yourself moving further and further into the future. I wonder, knowing what you know now, how different might a week from now be? What could you be able to do in a month? What about 6 months? What about a year? And as you slowly push yourself all the way into the future, you start seeing an image forming as you drop down exactly 1 year from now. I want you to notice what's different in your life. How has your life changed because of this? Notice what's happening in the scene. Don't try to measure it, manage it, or make it happen. Just enjoy the experience of being that new you. Setting your sights on success, giving yourself a compass that you can walk towards that future destination that you most desire. And it's real for you now. And as you continue feeling this feeling, I want you to lock this feeling into your body, lock this feeling into your mind, lock this feeling into every part of your neurology, mind, body, and soul, so deeply, so intensely, that it continues getting better and better and better. So much better that it becomes completely and utterly unstoppable, and no force in the universe can turn off this new program. Not even you. And when you know that you've done that, all I want you to do is test it. Go ahead and try and turn off that new feeling and notice what happens instead. That's it. And so as you continue moving further and further into the future with all of these new ideas, all of these new understandings, all of these new realizations about who it is that you really can be when you uncross your wires and reprogram your mind, I want you to think about the next time that you could procrastinate, and notice what you do instead. Notice that in that moment, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take 3 deep breaths. On the first breath, you're going to breathe in, and you're going to acknowledge that your wires are crossed, and that's why you're frozen. And then on your second breath, you're going to uncross your wires, bringing red to red and green to green, uncrossing your fear from your focus so that you can move forward in a state that's so serene, so confident, so sure of yourself that you can get the tasks done because you're capable. And on your third breath, you reprogram what you want from start to finish, and you end with that feeling, stepping into it as if it's a VR headset, watching it play out from beginning to middle to end. And as you get to the end, you start to feel that feeling coming, rushing inside of you, building up, bubbling all the way to the top as you count from 5 down to 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you reach 1, you take the action. Because as long as you move your body in the direction, as long as you move your mind in the direction that you want, there is nothing stopping you. No force in the universe can stop this, not even you. And when you know that, when you have that locked into you, mind, body, and soul, all I want you to do is test it one more time. Go ahead, I dare you. Try and turn it off, and notice what happens instead. That's right, because that's what you are capable of. Because you are so much more capable than you have ever thought possible. And now, in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And when I reach 5, you'll emerge from this state ready to take that next action, feeling so incredibly confident, so determined that nothing in the universe can stop you from reaching your goals, not even you. And at 0, going just a little bit deeper, really solidifying in this new programming to every single part of your mind, body, and soul, going deeper and deeper into the cells of your body, into the DNA, into the very fabric of your being, until it becomes so enmeshed that it's impossible for it to be separated. This is the new you.
This is the you that you've always been, and now you're going to be this for the world. And at 1, slowly starting to come back up and out into the room more and more. At 2, slowly starting to come back to your breath, breathing this feeling of confidence, breathing this feeling of motivation into your body. At 3, slowly starting to feel yourself in the room once more. And at 4, 4 is a very wide and awake number, taking a nice deep breath in, really, really pulling this all into your body, inflating your body with this feeling of confidence and sureness that you can take that action. And at 5, eyes open, wide awake. And now, I think you know what's next. I think there's been something that you've been wanting to do for quite some time, that you've been holding yourself back from. But you don't have to do that any longer, do you? So, go and take that action and become the person that you're meant to be.
Now that you know how to uncross your wires, now that you know how to separate fear from focus and flow into the activities that you need to do to be the most successful, the most happy, and the most productive version of yourself, what's one thing that you've been putting off that you can take action on right now? It's about time for you to take action and take the first step towards a more productive and happier version of yourself. But before you go, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of the new videos. If you found this helpful and would like more information about how to work with me or hypnotherapy or mindfulness coaching, feel free to check out the links in the description below to learn more about how you can work with me one-to-one. Now, go take that action that you've been putting off, and I can't wait to see how your life changes when you do.